Listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because this single principle has made me more money than any business deal, any investment, or any get-rich-quick scheme ever could. There's an old saying, show me how someone spends their first dollar, and I'll show you why they don't have their second million. I've spent 15 years as a financial advisor, built multiple businesses, and managed hundreds of employees. In that time, I've discovered that the difference between wealth and poverty isn't about how much money you make. It's about what you do with the very first dollar that hits your pocket. The poor see a dollar and think, what can this buy me right now? The middle class sees a dollar and thinks, how can I keep this safe? But millionaires? We see a dollar and ask, how can this dollar make me 10 more? That mindset shift, that single question, is what separates those who build generational wealth from those who stay trapped in financial mediocrity forever. Welcome back to Cash and Consequences, where we dive deep into the psychology of money and the real strategies that separate the wealthy from everyone else. I'm Franklin, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now. I respond to subscribers first in the comments, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. And to those of you who've already subscribed and are part of this community, thank you. You're the reason I keep digging into these uncomfortable truths about money that most people refuse to face. The $1 experiment. What I discovered. Last month, I did something interesting. I gave $1 to 30 different people, 10 from lower income backgrounds, 10 middle-class professionals, and 10 millionaires from my network. I told them it was theirs to keep, no strings attached, but I was curious what they'd do with it. The results? Absolutely fascinating, and they perfectly illustrate why wealth inequality isn't just about opportunity, it's about mindset. How the poor spend $1, the instant gratification trap. 9 out of 10 people from lower income backgrounds spent that dollar within 24 hours. A candy bar, a lottery ticket, part of a gas station coffee, or they added it to a few more dollars for fast food. Now, before anyone gets offended, I'm not judging. I've been there. When I was starting out working 3 jobs just to keep the lights on, every dollar felt like it needed to solve an immediate problem. But here's what I learned the hard way. Poverty is expensive because it forces you to think in hours, not years. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, that dollar feels like relief. It's a temporary escape from the stress. But here's the brutal truth. That same dollar could be the seed of something bigger. Let me tell you about Maria, a client I worked with 3 years ago. Single mom, 2 kids, working at a call center making $28,000 a year. She came to me frustrated because she couldn't understand why she never had any money left over. We tracked her spending for a month, and you know what we found? She was spending $127 on what I call micro escapes. $2 coffees, $3 snacks, $1 sodas. Small amounts that felt harmless but were bleeding her dry. How the middle class spends $1, the safety trap. The middle class group, 8 out of 10 put that dollar in savings. Responsible, right? Well, sort of. Here's the thing about the middle class. They're smart enough to save, but too scared to invest. That dollar goes into a savings account, earning 0.5% interest. They feel good about being responsible, but they're actually losing money to inflation every single day. I have a friend, David, who's a perfect example. He's an engineer, makes $85,000 a year, has $50,000 in savings sitting in the bank, feels financially secure. But you know what? That $50,000 has lost over $3,000 in purchasing power just in the last 2 years due to inflation. He's being responsible himself into being poor. The middle-class mistake is thinking that not losing money is the same as making money. It's not. How millionaires spend $1. The multiplication. Mindset. Now here's where it gets interesting. The millionaires in my experiment, not a single one spent that dollar on consumption. Not one put it in a traditional savings account. Instead, they invested it. But not how you might think. 3 of them bought a book on Amazon. 2 added it to money they were already putting toward an online course. 1 bought a domain name for $1 through a promotion. Another used it as part of a larger investment in cryptocurrency. 2 of them literally gave it to someone else as a networking gesture, understanding that relationships are investments too. But the most interesting response came from my friend Marcus, who owns a chain of car washes across Texas. You know what he did with that dollar? He bought a pack of business cards from an online printer. Cost him 99 cents for 50 cards. 3 months later, one of those cards led to a conversation that resulted in a $2.3 million commercial real estate deal. That's the millionaire mindset. Every dollar is a seed that can grow into something bigger. The psychology behind the spending. Let me share something that might make you uncomfortable. How you spend small amounts of money is exactly how you'll handle large amounts of money. I learned this lesson the hard way when I was 26. I had just closed my first big consulting deal, $75,000 contract. I felt rich. You know what I did? I spent $15,000 on a car I didn't need, $8,000 on a vacation, and blew another $12,000 on restaurants and entertainment over 6 months. I was treating that $75,000 the same way I used to treat $75, like it was burning a hole in my pocket. The wealthy understand something that the poor and middle class don't. Money is a tool, not a reward. When you're poor, money feels like relief from pain. When you're middle class, money feels like security. But when you're wealthy, money feels like potential energy. It's power waiting to be unleashed. The real cost of instant gratification. Here's a story that'll blow your mind. Back in 2019, I was consulting for a tech startup in Toronto. The founder, Sarah, told me about 2 of her early employees. Employee A, let's call him Jake, made $45,000 a year. Every payday, he'd spend $5,100 on things that made him feel better. Video games, takeout, a new gadget, just small stuff. I work hard, he'd say. I deserve this. Employee B, Lisa, made the same salary, but instead of those small purchases, she put that same $5,100 into company stock options and a continuing education fund. Fast forward 3 years. The company went public. Jake still makes about $52,000 at his new job. Lisa? Her stock options were worth $340,000, plus she'd completed 2 professional certifications that landed her a $95,000 position at a Fortune 500 company. Same starting point, same salary, completely different mindset about money. The difference wasn't the amount, it was understanding that every dollar is a choice between your current comfort and your future freedom. The investment hierarchy. Where smart money goes. Let me break down how millionaires actually think about that first dollar, because this is crucial. Level 1. Invest in yourself. The smartest money you can spend is on skills that pay dividends forever. Books, courses, conferences, coaching. I spent $15,000 a year on my own education, and it's returned over $300,000 in new business opportunities. Warren Buffett reads 500 pages a day. Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. When I asked my millionaire friend Robert what he'd do if he only had $100 to his name, he said, "Buy $100 worth of books on copywriting and marketing, then use what I learned to make my next $1,000. Level 2. Invest in assets. Real estate, stocks, businesses, things that appreciate over time. Even if you only have $1, you can buy fractional shares of index funds through apps like Robinhood or M1 Finance. Level 3. Invest in networks. This is the secret wealthy people don't talk about. Sometimes the best investment is buying someone coffee, attending a networking event, or joining a mastermind group. Your network determines your net worth. I once spent $500 to attend a conference where I met exactly one person, but that one person became a business partner in a venture that's now worth 8 figures. Breaking the scarcity mindset. Here's the hardest truth I'm going to share today. If you're not investing your first dollar, it's not because you don't have enough money. It's because you have a scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset tells you that spending money on growth is risky. The abundance mindset understands that not investing in growth is the biggest risk of all. I see this all the time in my consulting practice. Someone making $40,000 will say they can't afford a $200 course that could teach them skills worth an extra $10,000 a year. But they'll spend $200 a month on cable TV they barely watch. The poor spend money to feel better about their current situation. The wealthy spend money to improve their future situation. The compound effect of smart spending. Let me paint you a picture of what compound intelligent spending looks like. Meet Jennifer, a teacher from Montreal I worked with 5 years ago. She was making $38,000 Canadian, feeling stuck, convinced she'd never build real wealth on a teacher's salary. We started with just $25 a month, less than $1 a day, that she redirected from her daily Tim Hortons habit into what we called her future self-fund. Month 1, 6. She bought books on personal finance and side hustles. Cost, $150. Month 7, 12. She used that knowledge to start a tutoring business. Investment in basic marketing, $150. Year 2. Tutoring income reached $500/month. She invested half back into the business, half into index funds. Year 3. She created an online course for parents. Investment in course creation tools, $800. Year 4. Course revenue hit $2,000 month. Total investment so far, under $3,000. Year 5. She's now making more from her side businesses than her teaching salary and has built a $45,000 investment portfolio. Total out-of-pocket investment over 5 years, $8,000. Total return, over $180,000 in additional income and assets. That's the power of treating every dollar like an investment in your future self. The French Millionaire's Coffee Test. I want to tell you about my friend Philippe, a millionaire I know from Lyon, France. He has this test he gives to young entrepreneurs who want to join his accelerator program. He takes them to an expensive cafe, the kind where coffee costs €8. He orders the most expensive drink on the menu and watches what they do. The ones who order water because coffee is too expensive rarely get accepted. Not because they're cheap, but because they're thinking about the €8, not about the relationship they're building or the knowledge they might gain from the conversation. The ones who order confidently, understanding that this €8 is an investment in a potential €1,000,000 opportunity. Those are the entrepreneurs who think like millionaires. Felipe told me, if someone can't invest €8 in a conversation with a successful person, how can I trust them to invest thousands in building a business? Your action plan, the $1 challenge. All right, here's what I want you to do, and I'm challenging everyone watching this video right now. For the next 30 days, I want you to track every single dollar you spend and ask yourself this question. Is this dollar buying me comfort today or building my wealth tomorrow? I'm not saying never buy comfort. I'm saying be conscious about it. Make it a choice, not a default. And here's the kicker. I want you to take just $1 a day for the next month and invest it in yourself. Buy a business book, save it up and take an online course. Put it in an investment app. Start a side hustle fund. Just $30 total. Less than most people spend on coffee in 3 days. But here's what I guarantee will happen. By treating that money differently, by thinking like an investor instead of a consumer, you'll start to see opportunities everywhere. Your entire relationship with money will begin to shift. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments below, tell me, where are you watching this from? I love seeing our global community. What would you do with an extra dollar right now? Be honest. What's one small spending habit you're willing to change this week? And remember, subscribers get first priority in my responses. I read every single comment, and I especially love engaging with people who are taking action on this content. Also, here's a question for my Canadian viewers specifically. With the current exchange rate and cost of living, what's the biggest financial challenge you're facing right now? I'm thinking about doing a whole episode on building wealth in Canada's current economic climate. Before we wrap up, let me leave you with this. Every millionaire you admire started with the same 24 hours in a day and the same basic decisions about money that you have right now. The difference isn't talent, it's not luck, it's not even opportunity, it's how they think about that first dollar. The poor see a dollar and think about what it can buy them today. The middle class sees a dollar and think about how to keep it safe. But millionaires see a dollar and think about what it can become. Which person are you? More importantly, which person do you want to become? If this video changed how you think about money, even a little bit, smash that like button and subscribe to Cash and Consequences. We dive deep into the psychology of wealth every single week. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Until next time, remember, your future self is watching every decision you make with money today. Make them proud. I'm Franklin, and I'll see you in the next one.